Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch under the John Konavi Facebook page and E-Star 6 Media platform. I am Eric Avila. I'm writing here solo dolo today, but I got you guys covered because there is a lot to talk about. Not only about the Chicago Bears yesterday and their, how shall we say this? Underwhelming performance once again in New Orleans, but also there's a reason why I'm rocking the nice, beautiful Cubby blue here with the flag in the background. My boys make news today, and if you wanted to play, let's just say, Chicago sports bingo, this was not on your list as I kicked the camera and messed up my angle a little bit. I apologize for that. This wasn't in the Chicago Sports Talk bingo card today. This one just came out of left field, literally, no pun intended. And it sends shockwaves, right? And if you guys have been at work, which is completely understandable why you guys are at work, and if you guys did not hear what has happened to our beloved Chicago Cubs today, if you ever are Cubs fans, the Cubs got a new manager. Craig Counsell from the Milwaukee Brewers, who was a free agent, who, put Milwaukee, I guess, on the map as of recent years, taking them, I believe he took them to the World Series, definitely NLCS series or two. It was, it was, dare I say, a shocking move. And it was a move that a lot of people that I've been talking to on social media and on my social media platform, is the fact that it reminded them a lot of the Joe Madden move, right? Joe Madden coming to Chicago 1 year after Rick Renneria ran in, and I get the comparison, and that's 100%. And I get it. I get where everybody's coming from, which is, guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. But in all honesty, I tended to see it a little bit different, right? The link is on the comment section, guys, if you want to join the conversation about the Chicago Cubs getting a new manager, Joe Madden, Craig Counsell. If you want to leave the comments right here on the comment section. If you guys want to join us, the link is on here too as well. Let me just post it up real quick. That way you guys can see that you guys can join at any time. I will also post it up on my Facebook page if you guys want to join me. Talk about the Chicago Cubs. How do you guys feel? Are you guys shocked? Are you guys surprised? Are you guys happy? Are you guys sad? Whatever feelings you guys have about the Chicago Cubs and how they feel, let us know. Make sure you guys also share and like our show too today. Not just only our show, but also all the other shows on the Star 6 Media platform. But yeah, the Chicago Cubs, man, they made news. They had headlines. They made sure that nobody got, I guess you can say, the top free agent head coach on the market in Craig Counsell, right? There was rumors that obviously he was leaving Minnesota and Milwaukee and heading to New York, right? The Mets were probably interested in him, but the Cubs made an offer that I guess he cannot, turn back on, and that was 5 years, $8 million per year. $40 million is what the Cubs are giving Craig Counsell to be their next manager of the Chicago Cubs. And it's interesting, and it's quite interesting too as well. Like I referenced in the beginning of the show, a lot of people are comparing it to Joe Madden. and the move that they made when the Cubs had their run back in 15, 16, 17, and 18 with Joe Madden. I see it a little bit different. Obviously, it was a one and done with Rick Renteria after Swain and Quaddy. Rick Renteria, everybody saw some type of production or some type of improvement in our young players, some type of, somewhat of bright future and understanding and knowing the names of a Starlin Castro, of a Javi Baez, of a Anthony Rizzo, trades like that, team of players like that were in the farm system coming up, right? And Rick Renteria had a lot to do with that. And there's few Cubs that were there, or the ones that stuck around a lot longer, said that Rick Renteria had a good influence in their careers, right? And I see this a little bit different. I don't see it just like the Joe Madden situation. I see it in a situation to where, David Ross did what he did in the best way possible with what he had in his disposal, right? A dodgy starting pitching, dodgy bullpen. Obviously, he had the players here left and then got some players back in, right? And it's been a roller coaster ride for David Ross. That's 100% true. It's been 100% true that David Ross's managerial experience here in Chicago has been a roller coaster ride. But mind you that it's completely different from the Rick Renteria because he's actually been here more than just one season. And within that one season, he had the team that he went with in the World Series as teammates, as players, and when he was a manager, saw them go away, got nothing but young players back, had an abysmal start in his first year with the new regime, new players. That didn't work out. They had the bad start in the beginning of the season, but they were the fourth best team, and we reiterated a lot here on the JCA Sports Podcast and also on Star 6 Media with Big League Chicago too as well. We said it over and over and over again that the Cubs were the fourth best team after the All-Star break in his second year, with young players playing, proving, performing, all the above, right? That was under David Ross's managerial experience, right? Fast forward to now this past season, where you give him a Dansby Swanson, where you give him a Cody Bellinger, where you get Eric Hosmer that didn't work out, but you grab all these players, all-star caliber players that make a difference, right, in Bellinger and Dansby Swanson, and you get people that can make a difference on a team on an everyday basis, and that's what they did. And the Cubs had another up and down season too as well. We get it. People say a choke job, they bottled it, whatever, in the month of September. Cool. All right, that's fine. And a team that's never been in that position, a brand new team that was just built in one season, having the expectations of being in a playoff race. They were a game or two once upon a time. They were a game or two before, a game or two behind first place in Milwaukee, right? Once upon a time, they had a good lead, a nice chunk lead in the wild card because of that, right? And then they ended up blowing it all up. To our boy Tony right here. What's going on, man? By the way, happy belated birthday. I know your birthday was 2 weeks ago, but happy belated birthday, homie. Hopefully you had a good one. But yeah, I mean, the Cubs, that facepalm said it all. They had a bad September. But on the positive note on that side, David Ross did everything that he possibly could with the talent that he had, with the pitching staff that he had, with the bullpen that he had, that was stretched to its limits. Stretched to his limits, that talent that they had in the Chicago Cubs, and David Ross did a damn good job. That's why, to me, this was kind of a little bit more of a shock than it was with Rick Renteria a couple years back. It's simply because David Ross did everything, and not only did he win the World Series with us as a catcher, as a player, that has nothing to do with it. It's just simple the fact that he was doing a good job. He was doing an okay job. Not granted, no manager is perfect. Hell, Joe Madden almost lost the World Series for us when we were in the World Series back in 2016. Every once in a while, a manager will have his moments. And we were claiming for David Ross to play the young guys towards the tail end of the season, which it should have been the way. That should have been the way. I mean, the kids were outperforming some of the veterans, and it should have been like that. But I think David Ross kind of cracked under pressure, like, we're in a playoff race. We need the experience. We need the veteran experience. And I think that's what's kind of it shot him in the foot, right? And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm okay with that decision. You die by you die by your decision, right? But again, it goes to show that it doesn't matter how good you can be, you can easily be replaced. And I do believe that you upgraded in that position with Craig Counsell, a guy who's been, I believe he's been to the World Series with Milwaukee. I know he has multiple trips in the NLCS with Milwaukee. He is the best young hot manager out there in the game, and the Chicago Cubs just got him. They paid for him. He was a free agent. He was out of contract with Milwaukee. The Cubs did whatever they can, or they did what they did, should I say, to get him to come and be the manager of the Chicago Cubs with this up-and-coming team that had a pretty decent, well, that had a season above expectations for some people. I know for me personally, that he exceeded my expectations. And that's cool. And that's what I want. That's what I love to see. That's what I want to see. I want my teams to prove me wrong, that they can be better than with the benchmark that I give them. Tony right here in the comments says, personally, he thinks that David Ross wanted out. You're not the first person to say that. Yeah, I mean, maybe, just maybe, I guess whatever he felt about Jed Hoyer and how he felt not giving him what he wanted during the trade deadline, not giving him the pitching, bullpen, whatever the case may be. Maybe the players didn't respond to him very well. I don't know. But I don't believe so. I honestly believe like he wanted to work this one through because he saw something in this team, and I see something in this team just like you probably see something in this team. And everybody that knows the game of baseball sees that the Cubs have potential to be something, right? But to say that he wanted out, I don't know. I don't think so. I didn't see it. You can persuade me saying that his decision making at the last month of the season was his reason going out. And I'm like, okay, I can see that happening. But at the end of the day, this team was up and coming. David Ross, managerial wise, is still young enough to carry a team for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line. But personally, I don't think he wanted it out. I think we should have waited this one out. That's what, again, this is very weird for me because as much as I want to get excited that we got literally probably one of the best managers in the game today in Craig Counsell coming from Milwaukee to Chicago, I feel some type of way because David Ross has been there through and through from 16 as a player and now as a manager and dealing what he's dealing and seeing success, whether it feels very small compared to me, to you. I think his success to me is a lot more bigger than yours. Cool. That's great. But I see players react to him. I see players buying into him. I see players, giving them the respect and that galore of being a manager because he's been there, done that. And that's hard to find nowadays in a manager in any sport. I mean, look at our Chicago Bears, literally in another league. Do the players respect the coach? I don't know. But it's hard to find players to respect you as a manager when you have to make those decisions. And that's why to me it was kind of difficult. Now I get it. Craig Counsell is a whole different breed, whole different animal, whole different expectations than probably what David Ross would bring or could bring to you on the table because David Ross has never been there. And I will agree with you on that part. I will agree with you that Craig Counsell may give this team that extra oomph that David Ross probably couldn't because he's never been. Right, back on the comments over here. Yeah, $40 million for 5 years. I mean, $8 million per year. Highest paid manager in MLB history, I believe that's what I read in one of the social media platforms. I'll take a look at it right now. But even with that, it goes to show that the Cubs, and what I love about this move is that it's showing that the Cubs are willing to do whatever it takes to win. It's showing that the Cubs are going to take this approach seriously in becoming a contender for the NL. I can't say World Series. I can't say nothing like that because I don't believe that myself right now either. But at least a true contender in the NL division where they can compete with the Brewers, who might not lose a step or two, who may, with the Cardinals, with the Mets, with the Phillies, with the Padres, with the Dodgers. Like, they're going to put their names on that list of contenders. This, so far, I mean, before the season starts because of the hiring of Craig Counsell on November 6th of 2023 for next year. So he's like, yeah, $40 million on the manager. Yeah, Tony. I mean, it's outrageous to think that, right? But let's think about it. Let's put it in this perspective, right? As you're listening to the JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, watching us, make sure you guys follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, on TikTok, and make sure you follow us under the Star 6 Media Productions on all those social media platforms. Let's put it like this in this perspective about Craig Counsell here to the Chicago Cubs. Right now you're willing to go out there. Josh, what's going on, man? Maldita sea, mijo. Saludos, mijo. Hopefully you're doing well. Say hi to the kids and Bianca for me. Hopefully you guys are doing well. As you can see that my team on the north side is better than your team on the south side. Besides that, Craig Counsell is going to bring that intensity. Now the Cubs are willing to be serious now this upcoming season, and now the Chicago Cubs are going to be on the market to get these top end players. Whether if it's a trade for Pete Alonso, whether if it's a trade for Juan Soto, which is another question right here. I might as well just bring that question out. Like, I forgot to put it, but whatever the case may be, let's move on to this. But what are the names that you want on the Cubs now after this move for Craig Counsell? Do you still want Ohtani? Is it Ohtani good enough for being both pitcher and a batter? Right? Obviously, you're going to get Ohtani as a batter only for this upcoming season because he's going to get another Tommy John surgery. Maybe not. Who knows? But you're going to get Ohtani as a majority as a batter this offseason as a DH. Do you want, Blake Snell? You need pitching, right? Those are probably the number one, number two. I mean, Marcus Stroman, the Cubs did not exercise his playing option. He's going to be a free agent. Are you willing to bring him back? I heard I was seeing reports on Twitter, on X, or whatever platform you want to call it, saying that maybe they may not reunite. Once he leaves, he's gone. And I don't know how you feel, but I mean, he was hurt at the end of the last season. His numbers did drop. His numbers did drop after the London series against the Cardinals. He wasn't the same pitcher. It's one of those situations where it's like, okay, you get it that he had a big number on it. It was $20 million for this player for this option year this year, right? So the Cubs had to make moves. So they made the move. They made the good move in saying that, okay, we don't want you, so now we have money for these players. Now, there's been talk about Juan Soto to the Chicago Cubs and trading Christopher Morel and Wisniewski and I forgot who else. Pete Alonso is also on the market too as well. The Cubs need their first baseman. What are you going to do with Cody Bellinger? Are you going to bring him back? Are you going to resign him for another long-term deal? Obviously, those moves are not going to be made in the winter meetings that are coming up. I believe they're not going to be made in the winter meetings coming up in next month and month and a half. I don't think that the Cubs are willing to pull the trigger just yet in splashing. I think, methodically speaking, I think Cody Bellinger is under the dude's name in baseball. I think Rosenhaus. Is that his name? I forgot who represents Cody Bellinger, but he's probably going to take his time, take it nice and slow, what he does with most of his players anyways, and see what Ohtani does. And if Ohtani goes for this amount, Bellinger's probably going to go for this amount, right? But again, what are the names? I mean, it would be nice to have all of these names on the Chicago Cubs in one offseason, right? Ohtani, Snell. I mean, you already have your top of the rotation pitcher in 2 years in Ohtani with the number 2 right behind Snell, and then Kyle Hendricks 3, or probably even Justin Steele at 3 with Hendricks at 4, and then whoever's your 5th star, right? It'll be lovely to have that to play, the show, and will be the show, for the Chicago Cubs in real life, right? It'll be great to have Juan Soto and trade him, to get Juan Soto here. It'll be great to have Pete Alonso when you need a first baseman. Like Cody Bellinger, it'll be great to have him back in center field, doing what he did last year, and hopefully he can reproduce what he did last year after a few failed years in the last couple of years. He just rejuvenated his career. So again, I love the direction that the Cubs are going. I enjoy the direction that the Cubs are going. The question is, to me, like, I don't know, I don't find it disrespectful, but I do find it like they pulled the trigger a little too soon on David Ross. I think they should have let him marinate, but as a business decision to where the Cubs are going to be in the near future as contenders, I think you got the right guy. You definitely got the right guy. You definitely got the right person to come in and take you to that next level. Now you got to bring the players in. Now you have to bring the pitching in. You got to bring the bullpen in. You got to bring your 1 or 2, 3 bats that you need to bring in for this season. Like, it's Wrigley Corporation. It's not even Wrigley Field anymore, Wrigleyville. It's literally Wrigley Corporation. So literally that block is a cash cow. Like, it's dripping money there. It's raining cash on Sheffield. Tony says, hey, he's super excited. I am too. I think everybody is. Let's just see who they get in free agency. I mean, I agree with you. You don't bring back Cody Bellinger. Trade for Pete Alonso. You need a first baseman. I don't mind having Pete Alonso here. I mean, he's only 28, 29 years old. He's about to hit 30. I mean, you still have 3, 4, 5 years left of good baseball on him. That hopefully within that time, you get a World Series trip. I say trip. World Series trip. I'm not saying winning the whole thing. Just a trip. A nice sustainable run in the playoffs. Maybe you do go all out and you get Juan Soto, who's 24, who's still young, who still hasn't hit his peak powers. Maybe you do so. You know, maybe you go and do a little finagling here and there with dealing and trading, you know, some of your pieces. I mean, at this point, it's just like you're in that position now to do that. You're in a position to win. There's no wait till next year. You're in win now mode. Next season coming up. I mean, you probably were anyways with David Ross. At least playoffs was a guarantee. But at least now the expectations for the Chicago Cubs have heightened with the hiring of Craig Counsell. And what does that mean for David Ross? I mean, David Ross, he was good. He was a good manager. No matter what you think about him, no matter what you say about him, no matter what it is your idea, he was a good manager. He did what he did with what he had presented to him in the team, and he found somewhat success on those teams, from blowing it up with Brian and Rizzo and Baez and all of them, and losing Wilson Contreras, to having nothing but the Young Bucks coming up and being the second best team after the All-Star break last season, to having what you got this season and getting Dansby and Cody Bellinger and other players to come along and miss the playoffs by a few games after having a bad month in September, but having a great June, a great July, and you started faltering in August and September. But David Ross did what he did with what he had. He stretched out the talent. He squeezed out every single juice, or squeezed out the juice of whatever he had from the bullpen to the starting pitcher. So yes, and Tony, I agree. We have pieces in the farm system to trade. I agree with you. Alcantara. I mean, Christopher Morel could be one of them. I mean, a lot of people like him. I like him. But if you're talking about you're willing to trade away Christopher Morel for an everyday Pete Alonso, I'll do it. There is no position here for Christopher Morel, unfortunately, and maybe a super utility guy is what we love and everything like that, and what he brings to the table, great. But how do you fit him in the everyday roster when you have Dansby, Swanson, and Nico Horner up the middle? You know, you still need a third baseman in my eyes. Now, Patrick Wisdom, it is what it is. David Bodie, it is what it is. You need your corners. You need your first baseman. You need your third baseman. What are you going to do with Cody? Center field. Are you going to rely on Ian Happ, who had a down year after he signed his big contract? Right? What are you going to do in right field? It's question upon question. Oh, you guys say Suzuki. My bad. I forgot about Seiya. Out left. I mean, it's solidified enough with Cody Bellinger if you re-sign him and your outfield and your infield set. But, I mean, hey, you could bring in Juan Soto as your DH. Cool. There's ideas now. There's a process now. There's a way now that the Chicago Cubs can now maneuver and now can kind of manipulate what the MLB offseason is going to be. You can be the team that can take the push and can dictate the whole entire offseason by signing Ohtani, by signing Snell, by signing Cody, by trading for Soto and or Pete Alonso. Like they can literally the whole offseason is in their hands. For some good bullpen, free agency. Obviously, you need pitching. Both will be like starting pitching and also bullpen. So you're absolutely right. That's an important thing. But you're also still a few pieces away in your ball club and your everyday positions where you need a little bit of help. So what do you do? What is it that you want, Cubs fans? Hell, baseball fans, for all I care. What is it that you want? Who do you want on this team? The JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch under the John Konavi Facebook page and also the Star 6 Media Productions. Guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and make sure you guys like and share all of our shows, not only just the JCA Sports Podcast, but also Big League Chicago and Only Football, who's right now going live on the Monday Night Football game. It's crazy. It's crazy. This came out of nowhere. I mean, Craig Counsell to the Chicago Cubs. I mean, that's an upgrade, manager-wise, from David Ross. And as much as I love Rossi, if you would tell me who would I rather have, put my feelings and my emotions aside between David Ross and Craig Counsell, I'll take Craig Counsell anytime. I'll take him every day, all day, every day, no matter what. And the only reason why I'll take him every day is because it's the guy who's been there, done that, compared to Ross, who's just starting his MLB managerial career. Which is sad to say because he had a bright future ahead of him. I think he did a pretty good job. I mean, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad either. The Cubs will control free agency. I 100% agree with you. Whether if it is signing a free agent, whether if it is trading for this person or that person, I agree. The Cubs, this year is 2024 Chicago Cubs offseason. And if the Cubs can dictate, I mean, unless if the Dodgers come in or the Yankees come in and throw in big money, maybe the Padres say, let's bring here the Mets, whatever the case may be, whatever team, they can just, we say it's the Cubs now, but another team could come in and sweep the rug off of us, and then it'd be like, we control this. And that's the game of baseball. But all I can say is right now that the Cubs have heightened their expectations for 2024, and not only just making playoffs, will probably have to take the NL Central, because now the NL Central is probably as wide open as can be, with the young and up-and-coming Cincinnati Reds, with a St. Louis Cardinals where we don't know what they're going to be, a Milwaukee Brewers who just lost literally the best manager in the game in Craig Counsell, and then you have the Pittsburgh Pirates that are just there, right? And they're one of the teams that are excited to watch, but they still need a lot of help, and it's obviously just Pittsburgh, right? No disrespect, but it is what it is, and that's how it goes. So now, what I got to say is, and I'm going to end up talking about the Chicago Cubs before I move on to the next segment, is that where do we go? What are we listening to? What are we going to do? What is it that the Chicago Cubs really desperately need? Because we can all say one thing and then another half can say another, and both of the sides make complete sense. What did Tony say? And I think the White Sox will sneak in the free agency. And it's sad to say that we get all the excitement. We're enjoying. We're gloating. We're doing all this as Cubs fans, right? And it's sad to say that the team on the South Side, the Chicago White Sox, can't even put a pinky in. They can't even put a toe in. They can't even put nothing. They can't, because in all reality, like, where are their position right now as an organization for the Chicago White Sox? Like, what are the Chicago White Sox? Are they a team that's on the rebuild once again? Are they a team? Are they a team that supposedly is going to compete? I mean, they said no to Tim Anderson, and now they're going to lose Tim Anderson to free agency, and whatever they're going to bring in, right? But again, what are the White Sox? What is the White Sox? What are the Chicago White Sox going to be? And that's the sad part about it, because as we always say, Chicago is the third biggest market here in the United States, and yet they act like they're a small market team. But again, as you can see what I'm wearing, I am in no position to talk about the Chicago White Sox. I can say my opinion, and you can call me a hater. You can say whatever you want to say, But in all reality, why aren't the White Sox in this position? And I think we all know the answer to that. So we will see. We will see. Well, guys, yesterday, I mean, from good news and exciting news to somber news now, after another week of just disappointing effort from the Chicago Bears last week as they lost to the Saints 24-17 in a game where it shouldn't have been as close as the scoreline says. Right? The Saints 5 turnovers to the Bears 0. 4 interceptions from Tyler Bagent. He kept them in the game as much as he can in the first half. But you could just tell that there's a gap. There's a talent gap when Tyson Bagent and Justin Fields, right? And it's funny to think, I love the fact what Bagent is doing. Great. I mean, he made it interesting. He made it where you could kind of think, well, maybe he can, maybe he can't take the position from Justin Fields, and maybe he possibly can. He's playing football, but the only thing that Tyson Bagent really has to do is just catch up to speed with the NFL. And I think, and yes, that's one thing, but I think Bagent is just missing something. Bagent doesn't have what Justin Fields has, and I think that's just the natural talent, right? He's a smart guy. You can tell he can read the defense. He knows what he's doing. He's in there. And you could probably say that about any backup in the NFL. I mean, hey, Chase Daniels has made $50 million as a backup in the NFL because he knows and he understands and he reads the game differently. And I can not guarantee you, but there's somewhere out there, you might think I'm crazy, but they might say that Chase Daniel has probably a quicker and better mindset than Patrick Mahomes. He just doesn't have the talent. There's a reason why he's been around for so long in the NFL as a backup quarterback making these millions and millions of dollars, because for a game or two, if that said quarterback is down, he could probably come in and do a great job for those 2 or 3 games that he's in. But I bet you he could pick up every offense. He could probably do every single play in that playbook. And I think that's what Tyson Bagent is. He could do every single play in that playbook. It's just that he's just missing that it factor. And there's a reason why the kid played Division II football and never got into that D1 state or D1 level. Tony said he's going to be a great quarterback. He just needs time. I completely agree. I think he's going to be good. I think he could compete for an NFL starting position in one of the leagues. He can. I believe so too. It's just I don't think it's going to be with the Chicago Bears. And maybe he can be with the Chicago Bears as a backup for plenty of years, depending if Justin Fields is the quarterback for the future or not. Right? And he could read the game and he could play the game very, very well. Again, just needs to adjust to the speed of the game. I think that's hurting Tyson Bagent. And a lot of people say he doesn't have a big arm. And I don't know if people can misconception what big arm is, right? Big arm is not throwing the ball 40, 50 yards in the air with a clean pocket. Big arm is, can you move left and can you throw it into that tight window as perfectly as it can be? Just right there. And in 2 or 3 of his interceptions yesterday, you could tell that he's trying to throw into that tight window, but that ball just does not get there. There's no zip. There's no fastball. His fastball compared to Justin Fields is levels. There's levels to it. Baseball terminology since what I'm wearing. Justin Fields could throw a 99-mile-per-hour fastball. Tyson Bagent could throw 92. I mean, it's fast. It's fast. But would you rather have somebody that throws 99 or would you rather have somebody that throws 92? Baseball question, right? And that's the difference. I mean, I'm one to believe that Justin Fields and that big play that Tyson Bagent took off and he ran for like 15, 20 yards, whatever the case may be in the first or second quarter, I don't remember. That if it was Justin Fields in that position, Justin Fields would have been gone, long gone. And instead of having a 15 to 20 yard gain, it would probably have been 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. Right. And that is the difference between Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent. That is the difference between throwing it 92 or 99. And Tyson Bagent has proved that he can be up to the level of the NFL. The arm talent is not there. Can he work on it? Maybe, but I feel like that comes naturally instead of working on it. And this is just me that played the other football, the the one that's played across the world, right? That's just what I see from my eyes, right? Like the kid is good, and he kept us in the game for most of the part yesterday in the game against the Saints. He's the reason why the Bears went down and scored right away in the first drive, and he's the reason, putting that ball for DJ Moore, putting that ball for Cole Kmet for the first touchdown, misdirection here, misdirection there, on the line, just killing and audible the games because he can see it differently, and that's what's missing from Justin Fields' game. What Tyson Bagent has is what Justin Fields needs, and what Justin Fields has is what Tyson Bagent needs. And if we could just combine those two together and get a Tyson Fields, we would probably have the best quarterback in the NFL right now. With the offensive line it's holding up. The offensive line is finally holding up to do their part in this league. And even though Tyson Bagent held on to the ball too long, strip sack here, I get that. He probably ran into a sack or two. But if we combine Tyson Bagent and Justin Fields and get a Justin Bagent, it is the perfect quarterback that we need, because it's what they both lack, the other one has. And Tony says someone's going to snatch him from us. Watch. You're probably right, Tony. You're probably right. You're probably right. They probably are going to take Tyson Bagent away from us because the team thinks that they can build around him, or the team thinks that this is the type of quarterback that we need to get our quarterback to the next level. And I bet you he'll do it with no problem. But the fact of the matter is that Tyson Bagent, in his last, 3 games, he's looked the part of an NFL quarterback. It's just he's missing. He's missing that so-called it factor. He's missing that so-called talent that we're all looking for in an NFL quarterback. I like the kid. I really do. I like Tyson Bagent. I think he showed a lot of moxie. He shows a lot of confidence. He shows a lot of swag. A lot of he brings something different to the game, because I feel like he has to make up on what he doesn't have. And that's more of an athletic ability. The dude can move around the pocket. He's athletic enough to move around. He's athletic enough to go one way and go to the other. He's athletic enough, but he's not a super freak athlete. And I think that's what's holding back Tyson Bagent. Justin Fields for right now is QB1, and there is no question about it. He just needs to get it together. And if he doesn't get it together, then guess what? You're going to get Drake Maye. You're going to get Caleb Williams. You're going to get somebody else, if not this draft, the next draft. And that's the unfortunate part. You still have, technically speaking, you still have 2 more years of Justin Fields. In reality, it's just 1, because you're unless if you trade him, but you're with him for 4 years, guaranteed, straight up. That 5th year is an option. So you still have time. The only unfortunate part is that now we're going to see that Eberflus and Luke Getsy and everybody else is going to be gone at the end of the year. And Justin Fields, once again, is going to suffer another coaching change in his 4-year career. This is going to be his third coaching staff this year, or in the near future, if Brian Post does decide to keep him. So he goes, he feels confident, and you can't teach that. Of course not. Nope. That's what the coaches, and that's what coaches me playing soccer for all these years. So you just got to be confident in your play. If you're not confident, you're going to look bad. And you could be the best talent in the whole entire world. You could be the best player everywhere, anywhere, in any sport. If you don't play with confidence, you're not going to show it. And that's what Tyson Bagent is. He's just a confident player. Even when he threw his 2nd pick and his 3rd pick and his 4th pick, and yes, he was down. Dude probably woke up this morning and was like, all right, let's go again. And if you have that mindset, you're gonna go places in the NFL. But again, like I said, it's one of those situations to where it's one of those situations to where the Chicago Bears just needs to get this one right. And now the Bears are looking at 2-7. They play Thursday night. You can watch the JCA Sports Podcast on Wednesday, as we're going to talk about more about the Chicago Bears on Wednesday. Preview for the Bears Panthers games, or you know what? We'll probably even do it Thursday, right before the game starts. Who knows? We'll see. We'll keep you guys posted on our social media platforms. But this game was going to be an L on the schedule no matter what, because of the place you're going and the place, the team. It's hard to go to the Superdome and down to New Orleans and wins, but like the game shouldn't have been this close, guys. The Saints are just as bad as the Chicago Bears. I think they only scored like 3 points or something. Did they score a touchdown in the second half? I don't remember. I think so, right? Because it was 24-17. But that was the only points, the only 7 points that they scored in the second half. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they played majority of their downs on our side of the field. So what does that say more about the Saints? I mean, Matt Eberflus and that defense did as much as they could with the turnover battle. They did as much as they could to keep them in the game. And the Bears were there in the game throughout the whole entire time. They only lost by 7 points. They just don't have, or they didn't have the quarterback that was good enough to get them there. 5 turnovers, guys, 4 picks. And if you guys aren't in that camp that believe that Tyson Bagent is QB1 and is better than Justin Fields, probably by the way he operates and he moves the game, yes. But as a talent and as a quarterback in the NFL, no. I'm sorry, guys, but no. Like, my 2 eyes won't fail me. My 2 eyes can see where Justin Fields can excel at than Tyson Bagent and vice versa. It just sucks that, again, I'd rather, if the Bears weren't only winning 2 games this season and we just lost this game after winning like 4 or 5 games, whatever the case may be, okay, cool. I wouldn't be upset at that point, because the Bears at least are battling into this game. This was just a 1-score game. And it says a lot about the New Orleans Saints than it does the Chicago Bears, that the Saints with 5 turnovers only beat the Bears by a touchdown and a field goal. Let that sink in. It says a lot about the Saints with 5 turnovers, 4 picks, a strip sack in there somewhere in between, and they only beat the Bears by 7 points, by 1 possession. As shitty as that second half looked from the Chicago Bears, the Bears were still in it at the end of the day, but it never felt like the Bears were going to do something with it because of how shitty the Chicago Bears were playing in the second half. I mean, it is what it is. That's the Chicago Bears season. I think Matt Eberflus can say whatever he wants to say. Matt Eberflus can be like, okay, we're good here, we're good there, we can do whatever we want, or not whatever we want, but we just penalties. We can only control what we can control. Well, yeah, control your offensive line, control your false starts, control your offsides, control what you can control. You're doing a bad job at that. You keep saying that for the last 3 weeks, that we could control, and you guys can't even control your inks. You can't control your jumpiness on the offensive line, that you have to go back 5-10 yards because you're on a false start, you're on a holding penalty, you're doing something that's hindering your offense. And no quarterback, I don't care if your name is Patrick Mahomes, Justin Fields, Tyson Bagent, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, I don't care what your name is on the quarterback position. If you have an offensive line that's just jumping, that is giving you false starts and holdings, and you, instead of doing second and short, you're doing second and long, you're going to have a tough time. Now, in fantasy points reasons, if that does happen, then okay, cool. In fantasy football, it is what it is. But in real life football, you can't have those fouls, those preset fouls, those pre-play fouls. You just can't, because it only hinders your offense. It doesn't help out your offense one damn bit. So In other Bears news, as we're going to end the show on a little positive, right? Sweat got extended 4 years, $98 million, $73, 72.9, but we're just rounding up to 73. 73 mil guaranteed. That's the contract for a guy who the Bears gave up their second round draft pick, which is going to be high. It's going to be within the first 5 picks of the draft this upcoming season that the Chicago Bears gave up Sweat, and it needed to get done. It needed to get done. It couldn't wait till the offseason. It needed to happen sometime within the last couple of weeks that the Chicago Bears needed to sign this guy. It had to, especially for what he cost. Did he affect the game? I mean, who affected the game on the defensive line? Nobody really. It took him a while to get to David Carr. And it is what it is, and that's been the story of the Chicago Bears defensive line throughout this whole entire season. They can get pressure, they can get to the quarterback, they just can't finish the job. So they got Sweat for 4 years, $98 million. What does that mean about Jalen Johnson? It means that he just probably feels disrespected that he didn't get the contract first of a guy who was here before him, and he got the contract before him. In other words, Jalen Johnson is not Ryan Poles' guy. Ryan Poles can say, yeah, he's our guy, we love him, we can say a million great things about you, but at the end of the day, it's that mindset of you weren't our guy. We appreciate you. Yes, you're 24 years old. Yes, you probably aren't statistic wise the third best, fourth best, fifth best cornerback in the game. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to be signed out. Do we need a cornerback? Hell yeah, we need all the help we can get. And Jalen Johnson, like I said, he's only 24 years old. Of course we need help in defense as a defensive side of the ball. Of course we need all the help we can get. And of course having homegrown talent helps you in the long run. But it's like what Jalen Johnson is doing and going out, talking to the media, going the way he did, going about what he did. I think it probably hurt him more in the long run, but at least the Bears probably know what they need him. Well, they need him. I mean, unless if Jalen Ramsey or one of the Diggs brothers, I forgot his first name, or any of the top cornerbacks in the game that's ahead of Jalen Johnson becomes available, which I highly doubt. Jalen Johnson is the best you got, and Jalen Johnson is making a name where he could potentially creep into one of the top 10 cornerbacks in the NFL. You have one. He's definitely top 15. He's creeping into the top 10. But he's looking for the price of top 5 cornerbacks. And I don't know if that's a price to pay. And I know the Bears have cap space, but you need help on the offensive line. You need a center. You need help on the defensive line. You need an edge rusher to get to the quarterback. You might need another safety, because I don't think Eddie Jackson has it anymore. I think the injuries finally caught up to him, and Eddie Jackson looks like he's done. You know, Jaquan Brisker is a hell of a player. You know, Kyle Gordon is a hell of a player, but you still need that safety, that ball hawk in the backfield. You need that. So Jalen Johnson can help you with that, right? But the Bears also need help in other areas too as well. And the Bears just need to have that opportunity in doing so and making this team a lot more better. So sorry, Jalen, but bro, like with time, you'll probably get it. And I want Jalen Johnson to be here because I don't think there's another cornerback out there, no matter if he's below Jalen Johnson or above Jalen. Well, I mean, if he's above Jalen Johnson by a bit, but that's not it. But the main thing is Jalen Johnson is the guy who's a top 10 cornerback playing into a top 10 cornerback in the NFL. And you need to pay the man what it is in the top 10 quarterback market, not top 5, because he won't get there just yet because he's missing that it factor of just ball hawking, taking the ball away. I mean, he could cover, but the other guys, they can take the ball away. They can do something special. Jalen Johnson yet, I don't think he can, but that is neither here nor there, not just yet. And they just need to sign him. I think 18 mil sounds about good for Jalen Johnson. I think 18 mil is perfect for him. If he wants more than that, I don't know. That's why no team traded for him, because the Bears wanted a second-round pick for him, and nobody was willing to give him that pick plus signing him for that amount of money. So that says something right there. Well, this is fun. This is great. The JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch under the John Konavi Facebook page and also the /6 Media platform. Guys, make sure you follow us. Make sure you like us and share all our episodes, not just the JCA Sports Podcast, but also all the other shows under the /6 Media brand too as well. I know if you go over right now on Only Football, Kyle and Rick are going live for the NFL Monday Night Football game. So chime in, share, like that show too as well. Do it as much as you can. We're doing this fun. If you guys want to join us, obviously you can join us every week. We'll be back on Wednesday, possibly even Thursday. Just keep it on the lookout on my post under Eric Saul Avila or the JCA the John Konavi Facebook page. Also, guys, if you go on my TikTok, EA the Sportsman 13, that's EADA Sportsman 13. I have a poll out for the Chicago Cubs, yes or no. It's pretty simple. Right now, if I go on it right now, the question is, I never put it. Oh shit. Do you like the hiring of Craig Counsell? Right now, 65% of the votes say yes, 35% of the voters say no. So a lot of people like it. A lot of people like the hiring of Craig Counsell, which is basically what took over today's show. Craig Counsell, the new manager of the Chicago Cubs, bringing in the expectations higher for the Chicago Cubs. So go on and follow me on TikTok, EA the Sportsman. That is EADA Sportsman 13. If you guys follow me, I'll follow you guys back. Help me get to whatever amount of followers I need to go live on Facebook, on TikTok. Imagine that shit. Ooh, what is it, like 2,000, 1,000 to 10,000? Whatever it is, help me get there so I can go live on TikTok too as well and get everybody general market from there too. So follow me at EADA Sportsman 13 on TikTok and answer my question. Do you guys like the hiring of Craig Counsell as the manager of the Chicago Cubs? 65% say yes, 35% say no. Like I said, guys, keep us in log. Make sure you guys follow the John Konavi Facebook page to know when our next show is going to be, either the pregame to Thursday for the Bears Panthers, or will be the day before on Wednesday, normal time at 7:30. That's 7:30 on Wednesday to preview Bears Panthers and what could possibly be whether or not we pick second and third, first and third, first and fourth, second and fourth. Whether we're picking ahead of the Panthers pick, whether we're picking or the Panthers are picking ahead of us, it doesn't matter. It's to get one of the top picks in the NFL draft this upcoming season. So thank you, Tony. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everybody who watched us, commented on here, liked us, shared us, all the above. Thank you very much for watching me and joining me on today's episode. Hopefully on Wednesday, the boys are back on the show. For Eric Avila, this has been the JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and just Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Make sure you follow us on our social media platforms. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Peace.